Further fallout for Boeing this morning. The Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 jet, which had its door plug blow out mid-flight just over 3 weeks ago, appears to have left Boeing's factory with bolts missing. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Now, airlines are dealing with the ramifications of the incident, including delivery delays. Boeing has halted production expansion for the 737 MAX 9, and United is now reportedly in talks with Airbus about purchasing jets, which could replace an existing order of Boeing 737 MAX 10 jets. For more on the fallout, we have Cunningham, Melius Research Director. Connor, great to have you here with us this morning on this matter. How perhaps expediently do you believe a lot of the airlines are shifting their conversations about future orders as a result of the 737 MAX 9 issue?
Thanks for having me. So I think that what the airlines are trying to do is just, have a potential plan in place if the MAX 10 is potentially delayed for a longer period of time. So, when you look at United specifically, they have they're very much committed to Boeing over the long term with the 787 and the MAX aircraft, but they need in the immediate near term and in medium term, they need to figure out how to find additional lift to kind of hit their plans. This entire environment for the airlines has really been about capacity constraints overall. When you look at the Spirit and JetBlue transaction, very similar in the sense where JetBlue wanted additional lift. And if you had to go to an OEM and order new planes, it's going to take a long period of time. So it's about trying to figure out how you're going to grow in a really constrained environment. If you're able to grow, you potentially are a winner. So that's why, United's trying to look for remedies around potential delays coming from the MAX right now.
Colonel, let's talk a little bit more about JetBlue and Spirit, because JetBlue obviously saying that it could scrap this deal if that in fact does happen. Talk to us a little bit more about the implications of that. Obviously, it will put Spirit in a pretty tough spot, but what does it mean just for JetBlue's ability to compete here with some of the larger airlines?
Yeah, so JetBlue's already, they have their own issues with the GTF grounding. Spirit does as well, but a lot of these growth carriers, the smaller ULCCs out there, have had their models under pressure during the resurgence in travel demand. Historically they used to grow 10 to 20%, and they were able to kind of outgrow their cost structures. Now there's been a lot of cost convergence out there as growth has slowed. So, what is JetBlue going to have to do post transaction? My guess is that they're going to need to shrink a little bit. They've already talked about, reducing some routes on the edges. They're potentially looking for early outs with employees. So they're probably going to be smaller. Spirit's probably going to need to be smaller as well, as they look to kind of concentrate around, the markets that have made the highest returns. So that's probably not what the judge wanted when he initially ruled in that favor, but it's kind of the environment that they're dealing with at this time.
Connor, do you think Spirit's going to be able to survive?
It's a really good question. Bankruptcies take a long period of time, take a long time to kind of play out. When you look at just the fleet itself, they have like over 200 aircraft. The vast majority of those planes are leased. We're in an environment where we just talked about all these capacity constraints that are out there. So if you're a lessor, you're potentially maybe looking to reallocate those assets to somewhere else where you can make a higher return. So, Spirit, again, has a model that is really levered to leased aircraft. Even the aircraft that they do own, a lot of it has debt financing behind it. So again, they're going to have to continue to raise capital to go forward and survive. So I'm not saying that they're going to do it, tomorrow, but it's something that they really need to. That the environment's really working against them right now, and they got to make some hard decisions going forward to survive. So we'll see how that plays out in the weeks to come.
Do you think Frontier is still somewhere out there waiting in the wings?
Maybe. It's certainly. They were the ones that wanted to do the transaction to begin with. They're probably not rushing to do something right now. Definitely looking at kind of what Spirit's going to look like standalone. My guess is that they're in no rush, but again, the people that are behind Frontier, have historically been behind Spirit as well with the Indigo Partner private equity guys. So we'll see how it all plays out, but they definitely could swoop in. That transaction to us makes a lot more sense than the JetBlue Spirit one did. Again, models are very similar from what they're trying to accomplish. Again, it's all about growth and being able to kind of push growth at potentially lower prices relative to the industry as a whole. So we'll see how it plays out. Definitely something that could happen though in our view.